Don is, and
Pete Griffin.
Pete Griffin.
Jim Hodges is still on it.
Jim Hodges. And that committee, as Don said, is the one that would make the determination to accelerate our, or be more conservative or be more liberal in the investment that we tell the Rotary Foundation to make on our behalf.
Aggressive or conservative.
Yeah, right, and that can be changed at any
I think
point.
it's on there somewhere.
Right now, we're shooting for a balanced portfolio. You know, something that's got a little bit of kick to it,
Yeah.
but largely it's balanced to sort of mitigate any really serious risk factors that are associated.
And as good as it is now, it's got the dips too.
It'll dip.
Yeah.
Don't get me
It'll dip.
wrong.
But I can tell you the other point too. When you talk about the fees, the 1.5 plus a half.
Mhm.
Cheapest fund manager I know anywhere gets 3. So I mean, it's a very reasonable fee for this service, especially with everything we get out of it. I mean, we've got like online access. I think. Did we ever get that fixed?
You tell me, you should have it. But,
Yeah,
the committee members have online access. In fact, I pulled that down Tuesday, so you don't have to wait for they'll send it out quarterly, but you can get it daily.
Yeah, you can get it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. This is probably the heart of the questions that we get from members, old and new. So that this discussion was really important to clarify those issues that when people are contributing or doing volunteer work or giving their money, they want to know where it's going and how it's being distributed. And this was a very good discussion. I thank you for that.
I don't mean to take the whole time on this thing, but let's bring it back to probably the next question. We contribute individually to the Rotary Foundation under our account. We have bowl-a-thons, and whatever money you raise under your name for the bowl-a-thon, half of that goes to your personal account in the Rotary Foundation. Traditionally, each year, out of the grand income of the bowl-a-thon, we've contributed $4,500 to the donor advised fund. That's where this money has slowly been built up. Okay, so the money that comes from the bowl-a-thon goes to the foundation under your name. Half of it is in accordance with how much you raised, and how much is incidentally, the past presidents, and they make a recommendation where the money goes. The recommendation has been traditionally you give so much to the donor advised fund. So that's where the money, that's full cycle. So
The donor advised fund is an annual election. It's not something fixed. Whenever we go through the process of deciding where the money goes on the charities, that is determined during that process.
Thank you. And I would be remiss because we have 2 officers who just came in. Dave Mansfield is our president-elect and president to be. And Don Frederick has graciously accepted secretary. This little blank spot right here should have your name in it.
I don't know how graciously it was.
Well, I think that Dick Grisham twisted his arm backwards and upside down, but we really thank you. You're a welcome addition to the officers, and really, really appreciate that. Moving into the next part of this, club service, which keeps our club running successfully, is Diane Gordon. She couldn't be here because she's on her way to Hawaii, but Dave Johnson and her has agreed to.
I must have signed something in my sleep. I don't. I need to talk to you or somebody or Diane about that part.
Don't know.
I can speak to that if you want me to.
Or I can. I just came from that position.
Yeah.
There you go. You do it.
The club service are things that we do internally to serve the club, as opposed to community service, which are the projects that we do outside. The Sergeant at Arms falls under club service. The things like selecting the Rotarian of the Week, notifying them that they are a Rotarian of the Week, what's expected. The social functions also fall under club service, although this year when Diane accepted it, she said she really enjoyed the club service part, but she wanted help with the social functions. And Mary Lou stepped up and agreed to do the social functions. So you can split up it's one of the avenues of service. So you can split those up any way you want, and that's what I think is really driving the new committee structure, is more functionality rather than having it as broad as we've had it in the past. Do you have anything to add about
I think
that?
you covered it very well.
And the installation banquet, that's one of the other big things.
That's considered a
kind of
social
fall
function.
under that.
And then, of course, moving into the vocational service, which is Winifred, who couldn't be here. her mother's very ill, and she and Kayla are working on putt-putt golf, and the proceeds from that goes to our teachers. And vocational service deals with the idea of service through business and profession. So that was one of the reasons she also called all the members to give the club an idea of their profession and their vocation, and she's going to continue to do that because it's fulfilling, number one, and from time to time we forget who people are and we forget what they do, and part of our objectives in Rotary are the fellowship connection professionally and personally. And so to remind ourselves what everyone does, did, or is doing, it's always good for us to find out briefly again who we are. And so she did that really well. That was a lot of fun to have that happen. We'll be doing that again. And then there's
Who's going to be there next year?
pardon?
Is Winifred taking it next year also?
Dave?
Dave?
Yes,
Yes.
Oh, she is?
But-
Okay.
Yes?
and as a piece of that, all of the people who have agreed to stay in those positions for next year, is with the proviso that every one of them has to identify a shadow person
Good.
to start to learn what that function is, with the idea that
Yes.
the following year, we've got somebody already in place to move into those positions, because most of them will have been there at least 2, some cases 3 years now.
Right. Thank you. Let's go right into the organization part, Jan. Let's go into the club administration.
Okay, this is what I have done, and Paul, when he had the job, we're the two that have served as the chairs since we've been through this in the last 4 years, is we just back up the officers wherever indeed something needs done, or somebody needs a nudge, or there's a gap that's occurred, or somebody has just not been able to fulfill a particular job. It's the duty of the club administration committee chair to smooth over, fill in, when the president turns and says, whoops, we need somebody to tackle this one. Okay, I can do it, or I'll find somebody that can do it. So it's a little bit of everything. And it's, I know Dave is wrestling with this for next year as to whether indeed, perhaps, because again, it's caused a little bit of confusion as to who should really do it. That perhaps he might, one of the options that came out of the strategic study plan was that rather than have the club administration officer per se, or committee, would be the president-elect and the secretary would decide and divvy up those particular specific jobs that have fallen to the club, the administration committee chair. So that's still to be worked out. But right now, I'm just trying to keep things moving. That's
That's Thank you.
One additional piece that we've done, both Jan and I, in this particular role is to facilitate the election. I think Jan is absolutely correct. We're the firefighters.
I think it'd be a good idea to explain to our newest members how they too can get elected. How do you do that election?
When asked, Rotarians say yes.
The easiest way is to just not be in the meeting for a while.
Because we have
Is
a
that
lot
what
of
happened to me?
potential here.
I think, just seriously, what I think what we found in the past, although it's not written down anywhere, and good that it isn't, is that indeed, when the avenues of service and the avenues of service elections have come up, to offer to have your name placed in nomination for one of the avenues of service. Now this is again a little bit different this year. The question, as Dave said, right now, because we're still trying to wrestle with this ultimate organization, we did not have an election this year for avenues of service directors who normally would be rolling off after their 2 years of service. So, and the 5 committee chairs are nominated, appointed by the president. So right now, as it stands today, there's very little in the way of elections beyond the club officers. But whenever for all of these various areas, just to offer to jump in, assist the person in charge, he or she is always welcome and looking for folks to supplement, augment the various positions.
But it's
Thank you.
often very helpful to work with the committee for a year before you move into the leadership of that, just to get a feel for how it operates. And we're all different, and all clubs operate a little bit differently, even if the goal is the same. The way we put it together may be different, so.
And
Most
ge-
of our
The other
jobs
side,
are-
generally speaking, is that from an overall Rotary, although again it's different from club to club, is that there's a progression into the actual officer type things. Is that generally speaking, you would get normally elected to treasurer, spend a year as treasurer, then secretary, then president-elect, then president, then immediate past president. In our case, we're very fortunate that we have a, quote, perpetual treasurer. So the people into that channel do not go through that particular position, but it is, you know, one of the things that particularly as a secretary position, you get an opportunity to learn a lot about what happens in the treasury side of the thing, plus a lot of the key around what makes the club really work as you move into those other pieces. We've also, at least in the short period that I've been in the club, had the policy that we don't elect anybody to any of those positions without their consent. Nobody gets elected because they're not at a meeting. You have to kind of agree that you're willing to move into that process, which is not the case in every club. There are some clubs that people get elected as a president designee without ever even having had anybody talk to them, as I've discovered.
Wow.
Or have any other tool.
The other thing is that that's one of the reasons we ask the new members to attend a board meeting, to see the machinery of what goes on in the Rotary Club of Hampton Roads. As everybody has said, Rotary is, has an overlying foundation and goals and objectives. However, every club is unique and different. And to see how this club works mechanically, inside out, is to go to a board meeting. And then ultimately, and I think one of the speakers said last week, I think Doug said last week, that going to the conferences also makes you see more, and actually it invigorates you. It gets you more blood, Rotary blood in your system. It's very good. I did pass over New Generations, didn't mean to, but Brenda was going to come, and I was kind of hoping she would. She might be lost and trying to make her way here, but at any rate, just to define New Generations, those are the programs and activities that engage, as Joe was talking about, the youth. And we have Interact, which is basically designed for young people 12 to 18, and then we have Rotaract, which is for 18 to, as he said, 30. And Brenda is supremely invested in the New Generations and in the youth, and she is well connected with both Rotaract and Interact. And she gets at the Bowl-a-thon, she gets the Rotaract members, clubs to come to the Bowl-a-thon. So she is just a gift to that portion of the community that will be hopefully becoming full Rotarians at some point. And as everybody's heard over and over again, to inject us with some new lifeblood to get in, because as we
Mature.
yeah, that's it. To help others mature into the club, and to give us new ideas, new life, you know, and people come in with new ideas, which is really good for us.
And the other thing along that, Clinice is the district Interact chair.
That's right. Clinice
This
is.
year.
This year.
This year, yes. And she also is uniquely invigorating and, you know, challenging to the youth and to get them there. That's great. I am membership chair, have been for a while, and I am looking for a shadow, because it would be great to have some new ideas to bring to membership that we need. Part of what I do is, as you know, I send bulletins out when you're not there, because that has sometimes been, oh yeah, I still belong there, and it's the memory when you get distant and don't come, then it's easier each week not to come. So I try to enter your house, so to speak, and remind you that we're still here and keep you connected. I also fulfill the obligation to the new members to instruct them, to give them the packets, to make sure that I keep on to the secretary to get their badges and the things that they need to identify and to feel fully invested in the organization. And then to make sure that they go to the board meeting once, they come to a fireside chat, they read the literature that we give them, so that more and more they are enculturated with the spirit of Rotary. And then we start with the red badge, and then we go to the blue badge. And then on and on, we've had 2 membership meetings. We had in October and November. to remind people that I might be the membership chair, but I don't bring the members in, each of us do, and I won't give you that little speech anymore. So, membership is critical, but I think my job is more retention and keeping people who are in the club and coming into the club fully engaged, and that would be what I consider my primary role. And
Yeah,
then,
and just to add to that, one of the big things that's being pushed not only at the district but national level these days is not just recruitment, but retention. Because that's another big piece of our membership problem.
right. And as far as retention goes, David Rosenthal did a really neat thing. We had a young man, Patrick, coming for a while, and he wanted to join. And then he was coming, and then he wasn't coming, and I kept emailing him, and David was the one who was first in contact through the web. So he would say, oh yeah, and my email would then, whatever. But then David got a hold of him, and so that follow-up from another person, he possibly is going to come in July. So that retention thing, we didn't quite get him in yet, but we might be able to pull him in. He's swimming right now upstream, so once he gets there, perhaps in July, we can have him. So I thought that was a very cool way to back up and to reinforce. Thanks. And then, of course, public relations, David.
Okay, gotta get back in front of the camera again. I'll stand next to Jim again.
Public relations. I think we all have a general idea of what public relations is. We've all just in our everyday business, we know what public relations is. For the club, it's all about advertising the events that we do. I also inherited the bulletin from Ken, website, and we recently started a newsletter. Hopefully you all got issue number 2 that should have been mailed out yesterday. And I'm going to be passing on public relations or at least the bulletin and the web. I believe Diane is going to be taking over some of those functions. But everybody needs to be part of public relations. Everybody needs to spread the word of Rotary in general, Hampton Roads Club specifically, and bring the people in. And if you find somebody who's interested in Rotary, and maybe our club doesn't work for them, let's find another club that does in the area. Maybe they can't meet Friday mornings at 7:30, but they can meet Wednesday at noon, so we introduce them to the Princess Anne Club. That sort of thing. But PR is PR, regardless of what organization you're with. Just like running a hotel.
I love it to run a hotel.
Or spreading the word.
Yeah, gotcha.
And that web page is awesome.
Oh, yes.
You do a great job on that web page.
Absolutely.
Yes. I go to it frequently.
Good.
Anything else? Thank you. Mary Lewis Fellowship, and she was going to come. She's not here yet, so you all know about the Christmas party. We had a great time at the Christmas party, social. She was really good at that. She set that up, and the different things that we can do just socially, that part of fellowship is really crucial. Mary was great at that. Service project, Gary Armstrong is in charge of the service projects, and Jan, what about that edible garden?
Okay, we got through the project with the Virginia Zoo, and the earlier days were sort of some horticultural work, fertilizing the roses. And, by the way, those roses look spectacular when we were out there last Saturday. But the edible garden, the kits, the containers for the raised gardens, we constructed those, put those together last Saturday, and so we wrapped up the project in fine fashion. Between us and the Sunrise Club, we put together five of those raised containers, and others of us, again, did some more work around the grounds last Saturday. So we had a total of, I think, 10 of our members that contributed a total of some 26 hours towards the project, and the club contributed to it, part of a match to the amount we received from the district. So all in all, it came off very nicely.
So Chen, you say you're good at spreading fertilizer.
Oh, I'm good at spreading fertilizer.
And Gary,
I can show you a picture.
I thought as much.
and Gary plodded along even when we went there. It was rainy and cold.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
He
Exactly.
plodded along with that. So service is definitely the kind of thing that we do besides writing a check, the heart of the service of what we give, and we do a lot of that. The blankets are another, that we're doing, another, I think, an awesome way that people contributed. I thought that was a unique endeavor to do that. And then we also bring our cosmetics, their little hotel bottles in and send those, and pencils and things like that. So service, as we say, above
Not
self.
to mention paint your heart out.
Yes, paint your heart out.
And on the highway.
Every year a house is beautified because of the Rotary. That's
And we
great.
are, just for information purposes, one of the things I've got Jim working on for next year is we're looking at a way to try and figure out a way in conjunction with partnering with probably the Tidewater, I forget what their exact name of it is. They're an offshoot of what used to be Habitat for Humanity, but they broke off several years ago and now do similar kinds of things in the Virginia Beach area. Faithworks Coalition. But
Awesome.
we're looking at trying to, for next year with the Paint Your Heart Out, come up with a couple of houses in the Virginia Beach area that we can specifically work on. Part of the challenge has been getting to the right organization within the Virginia Beach city government. It's the clearinghouse to identify the unit.
That's right.
I mean,
That's right.
Chesapeake is the overall sponsor and has been for a number of years, but this year Portsmouth did much the same thing. They did it at the same time. They worked on houses within the road unit. So again, part of that service, but also some publicity and public relations of making our club visible in our community.
Yeah, where we are. At one time, as part of another club, we actually got the Navy involved, and they were super. Those guys, they can climb anything. And they had heart, I'll tell you. They became part of us for a while there. A couple of them in the other club, they actually joined. So sometimes you can get members out of that too, so it's great.
Mary, could I elaborate a little bit on the blankets?
Yes.
There may be some background that you're not aware of. Bowl-a-thon and raising all of these monies from corporate sponsorship, from selling the raffle tickets, and generating revenue. Each one of us are making these contributions to the bowl-a-thon from these corporations, and as a reward, if we had, say, $300, $500, whatever, we were able to pick, oh, I'd like that hat, or I would like that jacket, or this shirt. And what we did this year was, we said, I'm not going to pick that. Let's turn that into a blanket.
That was great. I thought that was an outstanding idea. Yes.
Yeah, whoever came up with that one is
That
a
was
goodie.
really top notch. And then, of course, programming, Diane, we all know.
It was Don Metter's idea.
Yeah, that was,
And he's running with it now.
Yeah, he is, yeah.
What did he say, 80 blankets? I think he said.
53, I believe.
That's over 50, yeah.
Yeah.
Over 50.
Really good. And I think we talked about Diane before. If she's absent, we're